Oh, ooh, that is a nice red. That, wow, that is a nice red. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to help you with your craft or for you to enjoy it just this much more. Now today we are going to Michael's. I know it's a little bit different because normally we're in like Five Below, but we're going to Michael's today and they have a new line of art supplies that has color pencils, markers, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm really interested in because, you know, when they bring out something new, I want to see if it's going to last or not. So I went ahead and picked up the Michael's markers, well, some of them because they have a lot more, but I figured I'd pick these 2 packs up and test them out. But we're going to do their dual-ended markers and we're going to see if each pack is actually worth $5. So I'm very excited about trying these and, you know, really thinking about how they compare to the $5 marker sets from Five Below and to see if these are actually worth it. And as you know, there's only one way to figure that out. Come on, let's go check them out. All right, so these are very colorful. They're American Crafts sketch markers. They're dual tip alcohol markers, 3 colors, right? So it's got the gradient, so it's supposed to help you actually move, you know, your colors from lights to dark. So that should be helpful to have that in a pack. And start with the lightest color, then layer on the darkest shade, blend with a colorless blender, and for a seamless effect. Yeah, you know us here, we don't normally do the blenders, so we're gonna see if we can actually blend it without that. But it's in a chipboard, right? It shows you the marker, and it's got a nice colorful thing in there. It's nothing special, but it's a nice little display when you see them with all their colors and brightness. And it's cool that it comes in the triple pack so that you can actually have your mid-tone, your highlight, and your shadow all in one. So that's really nice. We will see if they are worth the $5 price tag, because as you know, some other markers will give you a whole bunch of markers for $5. So let's crack these open and see how they fare. Now, as usual, we're going to be using Bristol board 300 series smooth for our test. Open. Alright. Go ahead and do these 2. Alright, so we have the Five Below sketch marker size, or not size, but like hull for the markers. It's a squarish marker. So, and there's nothing really graphic on here. It just says sketch markers from American Crafts. So nothing really fancy about the marker. The plastic feels a bit plasticky. It's not the worst that I've ever had, but it's not the best either. So keep that in mind. The chisel itself looks fine. It looks like the color and ink is really coming into there, so it seems like it's getting a lot of ink. Let's see. It's got a nice snap, so that's good. Let's see if it posts. Post. Always good. And then it has a little line divider so that you know which one is the bullet point, right? And the bullet also looks like a standard bullet. Looks like it's got a lot of color on there, so that's good. The bullet side snap is a lot better than the chisel snap. Try it on the red, see if there's any difference. Right, marker still looks good. All right, let's go ahead and try these out. All right, okay. So we'll try the light one first. Ooh. I mean, that's super light. that is definitely a light color, but it flowed pretty nicely. All right, it's The lines are good. There's a lot of ink. We'll have to do this with another one and see if that's the same. Hopefully you can see it, because oh, that is a big jump. Oh my goodness. Now the ink flow is actually really nice. It comes out really, really nice on the chisel part. The bullet has a nice flow. It goes from start to finish. But what I've noticed with the light color, which you can barely see, is that it does bead at the very top, right? So if you're making straight lines, you got to be careful about how much ink. Like the first one, it'll allow nothing, but then after that, it kind of beads towards the end or at the beginning. But the ink flow is nice. The ink flow is really, really nice on these. So that's good. Especially on that chisel, you get lots of coverage with the chisel marker. That's good. So I mean, to be honest, they're pretty standard, right? Like I said, after dealing with so many markers of in the 5 below range with this kind of, you know, marker set, it's pretty standard stuff here. But I mean, I like the darker colors. The darker colors flow really, really nicely. It's got a nice line. The chisel seems very strong. You get some nice variations, just like with most chisels, right? So this is really nice. You only have to go over it like twice to make sure that it stays nice and blended together. So that's good. I don't think that the color, at least not for these like blue greens, is really necessarily blendable. I mean, you can blend anything, but look at that jump. That's a huge jump. All right, like those are gigantic jumps. And I know that you can come in, you know, with a lighter color and kind of try to blend those out, right? And then, you know, you'd come in with your blender and you'd kind of blend that in. Like this, the darker color seems to work okay, right? And then you'd come back in and kind of make that happen. But I think the jumps on these 3 colors are really, really strong. Now, if you were doing cell shading, right, and you were coming in and you were trying to do cell shading, and you're like, all right, I understand, like if we were doing a ball, whoops, not that, if we were doing a ball, right, so you do the ball and then you come in and you're like, all right, here's my mid, you know, you're just going, I'm doing that, and so that way you have like your highlight come in and you're like, all right, so there's that, right? You can blend that in, especially if you have it inked up, and then you come in with your shadow, right? So I can see how if you were doing cell shading, right, with an ink line and stuff like that, that you could do some really nice stuff with these 3 colors. But as far as the natural progression, I think that these might be too far apart. There's some nice ones here, like I said, in this dark green area, but as far as the light, like I firmly believe, like you can't even see this anymore, but the light color with these blues is just far too light in comparison to the other 2. So that's kind of a bummer. So let's try these red ones. All right, so there's that. So, I mean, as far as the flow goes and the sturdiness of the nibs, those seem fine, right? They seem pretty good. I have to say I'm way more impressed by the chisel and how the flow of the chisels go out. So that's really good. One thing that's, I mean, they're pretty close. Not exact, but this green, this mint green really lines up. I think that the cap here is too dark, and this color just doesn't even match at all. Oh, ooh, that is a nice red. That, wow, That is a nice red. So I think the vibrancy of some of the darker colors is absolutely fantastic. Like that is such a nice red. Dark, like dark evil red, you know, when you need a bad guy, like that's your color right there. So I'm definitely impressed with the darker colors that they have. They're nice and vibrant, right? And you can tell how that would be like this. If I come in and I do this, here is my mid-tone, I could 100% see that being the shadow, right? That looks great. So the shadows of the darker colors of these boxes, this was for the green and this red, were really good. This red, oh, that's a coral pink. I mean, so I guess for what it says it is, this is really good too. I would have wanted to have a more cherry red, I guess, to go with these too. But this, I mean, it is what it says it is, right? This is definitely a coral pink. So do that. Come here. That. Like I said, I think that as far as trying to get them as what am I trying to say? For cell shading, I think these colors are great, right? They're nice. They're kind of nice progressions in there. Right, so I mean, I guess. Right, so you can get nice progressions. I don't think I still, just like with the light color over there, I don't think that coral is supposed to really be there because it's too light. But I'm sure that if you can make that happen by constantly going over them a lot. So I think that you can make a nice blend at least out of the reds. You can make a nice blend out of the reds. Maybe if you use a colorless blender, as it said, you can get a nicer blend out of it. But like I said, I don't do color. I don't do the blenders. I try and blend them with the marker itself. So I think that it does work-ish here and in the middle here, but on each end it's just too light. So yeah, so let's go ahead and do this ink test. So this is the Tombow. All right, the Tombow, and we got the Staedtler. All right, Staedtler, and then the King Art. All right, we got King Art, and then Faber-Castell. Oops. Make sure we get enough out there. Okay. Faber-Castell. So, as always, I think we have enough to where we can actually use most of them. But what I really want to do, right, is try the light colors first. Oops, I definitely grabbed the wrong color. Because normally the light colors are what pull up the ink because they have more alcohol in them to keep them light like that. So it's normally why I like going over those. But all right, so there we go. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like the Tombow, let's flip this over so you can see it. It looks like the Tombow is fine all the way across. So these markers work well with Tombow fine liners. The Staedtler bleeds with the lighter color, like the real light color just completely bleeds. The King Art, which is holding true on most markers, is good. And the Faber-Castell also kind of bled on the light color. So, there you go. If you want to pick these up, right, just know that they work really well with Tombow and with King Art fine liners. All right, so we just got done reviewing these American Crafts from Michaels markers, sketch markers, and you know, it seems like they're pretty standard as far as the actual marker. Nothing really special happening there, but the chisel's fine, the bullet's fine, the ink flow was great. It really was nice. In my opinion, the darker color, so the darker the color was, the better the coverage, the better the saturation. Everything was really good once you got away from the lighter colors. And you know, so that was nice. So I think that if American Crafts released like an entire set, these would be really nice to have, because I think the deeper, darker colors will give you some nice colors. But we are trying to figure out if these are worth it. And you get 3 markers, right? And they're $5. And while it's a nice little, you know, it's a nice little thing that you might want to throw in somewhere when you're like, oh, hey, here's a little gift, you know, and you want $5 and you don't want it to be too heavy, too big, or anything like that, then sure. But if you're looking for a deal that is actually really good, I don't think this is it, right? Because it's only 3 markers. And from what we can tell, like at least with the green one, that one color is just completely too bright. And so you can't even see it. So it's really almost like white paper. So it's not even there. The light color and the red work just fine. But like I said, for $5, only 3 markers in this day and age, especially with all the stuff that we've reviewed before, I don't think it's worth it. They were cute, they were fun, but I just don't think that they're actually worth the $5. I would send you somewhere else to get some different markers. Well, that wraps up today's episode of Is It Worth It? I hope that you got some information that was going to be useful for you and will help you in your artistic career. If for any reason you would like to give me some type of suggestion, which I would gladly accept, I really hope you do. But if you do, please go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I will add it to the list. Now, if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every single time that I drop new content. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.